Hello Keepers! Over at Universal Studios Florida, they're celebrating 30 years of Universal Mardi Gras International Flavors of Carnaval. We did make our way over there to try out most of the sights, sounds, and flavors that this celebration had to offer, and I'd like to share my experience with all of you. So with all that being said, let's go! Mike the Bee, the music. This year we made our way over to Universal Studios Florida for the 30th anniversary of Mardi Gras International Flavors of Carnaval. This year's celebration ran from February 1st through March 30th. The Mardi Gras celebration is in addition to your regular day at Universal Studios. So you can go and you can enjoy the regular attractions and shows offered throughout the day, and there's little sprinkles of Mardi Gras kind of throughout the park. Now there's all these different food booths. Some of the characters are dressed up in some Mardi Gras attire. Of course, the big event is later in the evening for the parade, and on select nights, usually on the weekends, there are special concerts. So the first thing we're going to do is pick up our annual pass holder button. They have one for Mardi Gras. It's the King Gator. It's really cute. And they changed the location of where you pick up your annual pass holder freebies. So you have to come over to the Jimmy Fallon Race to New York attraction, and if you come to the shop, it is the Tonight Show shop. You can pick up your button. You got to show your annual pass. They'll scan it and they'll give you your button. Right now they're celebrating SNL's 50th in the shop, so there's a bunch of merchandise for that. So you can walk around and check that out. And we also found the King Gator shoulder pet while we were in the shop, so we picked up a couple of those. Let's get to the festivities. So one of the fan favorite things to do during the Mardi Gras celebration, celebrating its 5th year, is the Mardi Gras Tribute Store. Now these stores are absolutely amazing. They are fully themed, fully immersive. They get better every year, and this year is no exception. So the official Universal website says, over the last 30 years, Universal Orlando Resort has celebrated Mardi Gras with its own theme park flair, and with this celebration comes a need for merchandise to match. That's where the Mardi Gras Tribute Store comes into play. More than just a one-stop shop for all things Mardi Gras, the Tribute Store takes the theming to a whole new level, further immersing you in the celebration. And Brendan McWilliams, the supervisor of visual products at Universal, said, "This year we decided to go in a different direction and celebrate the folklore of New Orleans and Louisiana and their rich storytelling history. I had some inspiration from roadside attractions and museums I went to with my family as a kid, and remembering how much I loved the mom and pop homemade feel they had." So this year's Tribute Store is the Cyrus T. Pavo's Legends of the Bayou, the baseline for all your favorite sketchy swamp tales. When you enter this Tribute Store, there's like all kinds of stuff all over the place. And then there was this kind of scavenger hunt on the wall, which we're kind of going to go through some of it as I take you through this Tribute Store. So the scavenger hunt included several things. So we're going to keep our eyes open for the Grunch Road Monster. We're going to look for tiny cryptid toys, plastic rats, cryptid with red eyes, something swimming in the last room, and Baron Totten's coat and hat. Also in this first room when you enter, so every year, for those who know the legend of Earl the Squirrel, who has been made famous at Christmas time now, there's usually Earl the Squirrel kind of hidden throughout the other tribute stores throughout the year, and this year there's no exception. So if you didn't find him if you were able to visit this year's tribute store, Earl was hiding in the very first room, kind of in the middle of one of the displays in the middle of the room. So also on the floor, there were like these giant kind of footprints, all different colors. Well, if you followed the footprints, they would actually lead you to some display or something kind of to read about one of the cryptids within the museum. Venturing into the store portion of the tribute store, there was the Wall of Mystery. Now the Wall of Mystery had all these kind of windows you could look into. You press the button, it kind of lights up the scene inside. So they're like kind of like these shadow box scenes inside the wall. So it's no surprise that there's a little, kind of like camaraderie type situation going between Universal and Disney. So you kind of always see like these little jabs every now and then that they kind of make at one another. Well, if you were in the tribute store, one of the things in the Wall of Mystery was the Yeti. And so they said it was the only animated Yeti in town. So of course this is a jab at Disney that, you know, the Yeti on the roller coaster over at Animal Kingdom has not been working for several years. It's also been dubbed as Disco Yeti because it has like a fan and a strobe light. And so this was just like a slight little jab to Disney, but it was also a fun little Easter egg to find in the tribute store this year. Alright, so scavenger hunt time. In the first room there were two of the Grunge Road monsters. The first one was in the little popcorn stand and the actual popcorn. The other one, there's like a paper mache version of this monster, and it's supposed to be one of the cryptids within the museum. As you make your way out of the first room, you're led onto a screen porch in the middle of the night. With mosquitoes and crickets littering the air and the lollipops, you'll step off the porch and into the dark, dank place known as the Bayou. The cypress swamp grows under the soft light of a full moon and is filled with fireflies, frogs, gators, and a few of the fabled creatures. Alright, scavenger hunt time. Now hopefully you've already seen a bunch of the little plastic cryptids all over the place because they literally were everywhere. But there is one of the Grunge Road monster in the porch area, and then we found two of them hiding out in the swamp area as well. So also out in the bayou was the cryptid with the red eyes. Now, if you missed him, you just weren't paying attention because he was quite large and you really couldn't miss him. Now, this is called the Nuscom Nuisance. Now, this is not a real bayou folklore thing. They kind of made this up for the tribute store, but this guy actually looked kind of creepy, and sometimes things you see in like these tribute stores you'll see later on. So they'll become like folklore of Universal. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing this guy show up somewhere in the future. In the back of the bayou is a dilapidated shack. A piping hot steaming pot of gumbo brews on the stove, and evidence of Baron Tauntaun's presence can be found among the furniture with his coat and signature top hat in the corner. Alright, scavenger hunt time. In this room we find one of the Grunge Road monsters hanging out, and then also this is where we found Baron Tauntaun's coat and hat. So Baron Tauntaun, I believe he became more of a legend, more in the forefront last year in that tribute store, if I remember correctly. I don't remember if he was kind of around or hinted to before this. I'm not really up to speed on all the folklore of the tribute stores and the various characters. I do know he was prominent last year. Of course, this year they have a bunch of merchandise featuring the Baron, and of course now we have some evidence of him left behind in this tribute store. And the final room we come to is the Cajun Fishing Village. With tunes of Cajun folk music and fireflies filling the air, you soak up the light of the starry night sky. You can't miss the massive shrine to King Gator that looms over all with its firing lantern eyes. If you listen closely enough, you'll hear the occasional massive rumbling growl coming from the king himself, indicating he's near. Watch your feet, this 25-foot long gator is passing through. In scavenger hunt time, we find the final Grunge Road monster in this room. I also saw more of the plastic rats. The rats are another tribute store situation where they hide rats within these tribute stores. I think it's usually like a dozen or so of these rats are what are hidden in each tribute store. This time they were plastic rats. So all this stuff is, it's just fun. Like it adds to, I mean, you're already in these amazing stores that like the theming is just amazing. It's a store. They sell merchandise. They sell, you know, goodies to take home with you. But you're just completely immersed in this world in these stores. They're absolutely amazing. And then they have kind of like these hidden Easter eggs and gems to look for as you're going through the store as well. So if you missed this year's tribute store, hopefully you catch the next one. There's usually been one for the summertime. There's been one for Halloween Horror Nights. There's been one for Christmas time. So if you ever get to Universal Studios Florida, make sure you stop into the tribute store because they are definitely a sight to see. So this is Mardi Gras Flavors of Carnaval. So we've got to try the food, and they have quite a few food booths at this year's Mardi Gras. So we didn't make it to all of them, but we did make it to quite a few, and I'm going to share you with what we tried and just kind of our overall, opinion about what we had at this year's Mardi Gras. So the first stop, we stopped at Mexico. We got the chilaquiles verdes. It is tortillas topped with chili braised shredded chicken, salsa verde, cilantro onion mix with lime crema and cojita cheese. This was quite delicious. Every time we stop at a Mexico booth at Universal, it never disappoints, and this was actually really, really delicious. We also tried the quesadilla. It's birria beef and a corn tortilla with Monterey Jack and oaxaca cheese served with birria broth. This also was quite delicious. Like I said, we've stopped at Mexico quite a few times when it's been there, and it's always been absolutely delicious. Next, we have the taste of the corner. We got the red beans and rice. It was a vegan sausage with stewed beans, white rice, and garnished with scallions. Now, don't let the vegan sausage throw you. This was actually really, really good. It really made me think of New Orleans with that traditional red bean and rice flavor. Everything in this just really went really well together. It was quite delicious. Of course, we had to get some beignets. So the beignets are sweet fried pastry with powdered sugar, and these were definitely a traditional beignet. They were light, fluffy, covered with powdered sugar, came in that paper bag where you shake it up. You have just powdered sugar for days, but they were so, so delicious. Definitely could have went for multiple rounds with these. We did stop by Colombia. We got the Colombian burger. It's a grilled burger with Monterey Jack cheese, pineapple cabbage slaw, cilantro garlic sauce, and potato sticks. Not a big fan of slaw, but this burger worked. Everything in it was just absolutely delicious. All the flavors together, amazing. We also tried the chicken empanadas. They were crispy corn masa chicken empanadas with ají picante. They were good. They're empanadas. They weren't like amazing and over the top. They were simply chicken empanadas, which was good enough for me. We also stopped by Canada, which had the margarita poutine. It was fresh mozzarella, roasted tomatoes, basil cream, and pub fries. You usually can't go wrong with a poutine, and this was no different. This was actually quite delicious. Again, it wasn't like absolutely amazing, but it really did hit the spot. We also tried something from Bites of the Bayou, the baked Cajun mac and cheese. Creamy spicy cavatappi pasta, andouille sausage, onion, celery, and green bell pepper, and a Cajun cream sauce. I mean, mac and cheese baked, and then all this amazing goodness with it. Yes, this was a definite win and was amazing, as was everything else we tried. Like I said before, one of the other things that they do at Mardi Gras, and it's usually in the evening, is they do concerts. The concerts are on select nights, so usually on the weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You have to check the times guide to see who's performing and when they're performing. Now, one thing to know is if you are a Premier Pass holder, as we are, valet parking is included in your pass. So, which means we go up, we don't get charged valet. Do leave a tip, always leave a tip. But you don't have to pay the standard fee for your valet parking. So the only stipulation is the nights that there's a Mardi Gras concert or the nights that there is Halloween Horror Nights going on. Now sometimes they do a modified pricing, so you're still not paying the full price for valet, but you will pay something on those evenings. But again, they usually have signs posted, so make sure you just check everything before you just drop your car off, so you don't have a surprise when you go to pick it up later. So there was something new this year where they had Honey's Mardi Gras Indians with the NOLA Brass Band. So I didn't know who they were, so of course I had to look them up, and I'm going to share that with you. Honey refers to Irving Bannister, a prominent figure in Mardi Gras Indian tradition in New Orleans. He's known for his work as a big chief, specifically with the Golden Sioux tribe and the Creole Wild West tribe. Mardi Gras Indians are black revelers who parade with elaborate handcrafted suits influenced by Native American ceremonial attire. One of the other fun aspects that comes later in the evening, closer to parade time, roughly an hour, 45 minutes before the parade time, is the parade movers of the parade that year will come out for some meet and greets, photo opportunities, have a little fun with the crowd before the parade actually begins. So this year they were kind of coming out from the walkway that was kind of over by the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon attraction and the stage, which is in front of the Rip Ride Rocket roller coaster. So if you wanted to see them all walk out at the same time, I suggest kind of stand over that area. You get a good look at all the different costumes up close and personal, and it's just a fun experience. So like I said, one of the key moments of the Mardi Gras celebration is the parade. It's something everybody looks forward to who is there for Universal Mardi Gras. Now the parade times do vary from day to day, week to week, that sort of thing. So make sure you're checking the times guide on the Universal app or ask a team member what time the parade is the day you're visiting. That way you get a good spot and plenty of time and you don't miss a thing. So this year, the Universal Orlando Mardi Gras 2025 parade theme is 30 years of Mardi Gras at Universal. This year's parade featured 6 brand new floats inspired by famous crews in New Orleans, along with 6 returning signature floats. The parade also included music, lights, and plenty of beads being thrown. Many of the floats are designed and created by Kern Studios, the famous float making company in New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, my advice to anybody is if you want a good spot for the parade, make sure you get there in plenty of time. I would say at least an hour before the parade begins, especially on the super busy times and days. If you're not that concerned with being right up front on curbside or gate side, depending on where you're standing, for the parade itself, then you can definitely get there. You'll still be able to see everything. And then a little tip for you. So if you're really wanting to catch a lot of beads and you're standing up on the curb of the parade, you may not get as many as you think as if you're further back. Because a lot of times the people who are throwing the beads from the parade floats, they're really launching them. So people that stand kind of further back tend to get more beads. So if your goal is to collect as many beads as possible, you probably don't want to be right on the curb where the parade is passing by. So we ate, we met some of the wonderful performers for this year's Mardi Gras parade. We caught many beads as these beautiful floats passed us on the streets of Universal. So our night had ended at our day at Universal Mardi Gras Flavors of Carnival 2025, but we weren't quite done. So we decided to stop by the Two Zone Chocolate Emporium, which is located in City Walk. Actually, it's over closer to the entrance of Islands of Adventure, to get a little sweet treat before we headed home. So we went in there and they actually were doing a special Mardi Gras shake in their soda shop. It's called the Bayou Pecan Shake. It was a creamy vanilla milkshake blended with pecan pieces, topped with fluffy whipped cream, a chocolate gator, and colorful Mardi Gras beads. This is actually pretty good. I do like praline pecan ice cream, so that's kind of what the flavor was, and then just everything on top with the big gator and everything just made it a fun dessert to get. And then I got more beads, so it just kind of brought the whole experience together for me. So my partner did get one of the sundaes, and so he got the strawberry shortcake sundae. It's strawberry peanut butter ice cream, cheesecake, white chocolate almond bark, whipped topping, chocolate covered strawberry. So we have gotten the sundaes before at the Chocolate Emporium, and they were pretty good. This one kind of fell a little flat. It just kind of seemed like the cheesecake really wasn't that great. The white chocolate almond bark was melting a little bit. I don't know. It was very flimsy, like it had been, I don't know, maybe used and reused. I don't know what the case was. It was okay. It was okay. It just wasn't great. So before we left, I do want to say that for those who are worried, so Cinnabon has finally gotten its permanent location in City Walk. They now have a kiosk, which is located kind of where the Big Fire Grill restaurant is, kind of over in that area along the walkway, which is closer to the river. So we were quite happy because we do enjoy a good Cinnabon from time to time. So if you're in City Walk and you're craving you a Cinnabon, they finally got a permanent location with all the offerings they had in their other location. So we were excited to see that. So we may have picked up a Cinnabon, you know, to have at home. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for our visit to this year's Universal Studios Florida Mardi Gras Flavors of Carnival 2025. Like I said, this year's season is over. If you missed it, don't worry, they will be back next year. Just keep your eye out on the official Universal Orlando website for the dates that next year's Mardi Gras will be happening. As always, I want to thank you guys for following along on these little adventures of mine. And as always, I am Mike the Bee. You never know where I'm going to be. I'm just going to be UB2. I'll see you guys later. Bye!